Let's give Melissa, Matt, and Craig another round of applause. That was fantastic. All right, we have a couple great panels left for you. This next one's on driving faster technology acquisition. I'd like to invite to the stage Corey Nickens, Client Executive for AAS Defense and Acquisition Innovation Advocate at GSA, along with Trevor Wagner, Director of the Lab at the Department of Commerce. That guy. And your moderator will be John Espinosa, VP and GM of Government Operations at GDIT. Let's give them a warm welcome.
All right, morning everyone. We're excited to talk to you guys today about driving faster technology acquisition in government. And so normally when you hear the word acquisition, I kind of see like glazed eyes going, but I can tell you, these guys are fun. Like I've been having a couple calls with them. This is a fun group. Like, so we're looking to bring the energy today and kind of make acquisition, give you a whole new like line of sight into acquisition management. I was telling him earlier, if you're not having fun with acquisitions, you're not doing it right. So we're going to change that, right? You're just not doing it right.
That's facts. Yeah,
right?
Facts.
All right. Okay. So as we take a step back, couple of things. I'm just going to set the stage. So we're seeing a tremendous amount of technological advancements that are taking place across industry, right? And so there's every time you think you're caught up, something new is coming out. And so you compound that with your budget challenges, you compound that with your staffing shortages, you compound that with your evolving compliance needs, and it's a mess, right? And so all of that together really highlight the fact on why this particular topic is so relevant at this time and how we're going to be assisting both agencies and industry around how they really need to be looking at how they can partner together and work together to really expedite, technology acquisitions in the government. All right, so Trevor, I'm going to start with you. You've been doing this for a while now. You're with the Commerce team. You're leading the lab for us, or in that space. So what are some of the things that you're seeing that is slowing down the acquisition process? And what are some tools, techniques, insights that you're currently leveraging that could really assist others?
No, it's a great question. And for us, AI will mean acquisition innovation, right? So that's kind of what our focus is. And that's a space I've been in for 10 straight years now. I love the challenge, and where it really slows down is kind of on the people side of the house. Not really on the technology side, more the people in the process. I'll give you an example. So yesterday I was having a client meeting with one of our bureaus, and they have a multi-billion-dollar, extremely complicated IT procurement coming up. And they were told by their contracting officer that they cannot go do direct engagements and market research with industry. They told them not to do an industry day. Things that you would think, why this is only going to help with how this procurement's done. Things that are no-brainers. Things that the Office of Federal Procurement Policy has put out multiple myth busters over the years telling us that we should be engaging with industry early and often in the process. There are still those myths. There's still that element of risk aversion that exists on the people side in these acquisition teams. And so one of our goals over the years has been to revamp how we engage with our acquisition teams and really trying to mentor and coach the contracting officer and the 1102 side to be better engagers and to be more proactive. And one of the ways that we've done that is to try to develop more of an agile methodology with how they operate with the acquisition teams. So when they have a new requirement come up, we have discovery sessions where they get together and the acquisition side learns a little bit more about the requirement. The legal attorney is there so that they can understand how the risk is being mitigated early in the process. And then we kick that over into bi-weekly sprint sessions, 15-minute touch points to talk about the progress made, set goals for the upcoming 2 weeks, and then discuss if there's any impediments that we can start overcoming. So what techniques have we leveraged to enable faster technology acquisitions? That's another really good question. Has anybody here ever heard of the periodic table of acquisition innovations before? All right, so that was my pet project back in 2018, 2019 when it launched. So when that became included in the RFO in regulation, that was a very proud moment for me. It goes way beyond inserting innovative techniques into procurement, but most of those have been developed and battle tested over time because they help streamline, they help make more efficient, but they also help us target the mission and having better overall outcomes. So things like multi-phased procurements, having oral briefings, having this engagement in industry. Those are all no-brainers that have definitely helped.
Love that. Thank you. Corey, over to you.
Yeah, so just adding to what Trevor mentioned, first it's about schedule accountability. So in the government, we don't do a great job from an acquisition workforce perspective of keeping the eye on the ball in terms of what the ultimate goal is, in terms of what the timing is for how that requirement ties to the mission that's being delivered. And so we have to manage an acquisition like a project, first and foremost. Secondly, connecting the work that we're doing to that mission outcome. It's music to our ears to kind of hear the earlier speakers talk about what the big picture is, making sure that the contracts are outcome oriented. It's not just a tool that's being delivered, it's actually a mission that's being performed and delivered successfully. So how do you make sure that the acquisition workforce and the integrated project team collectively, that includes the contracting people, that includes the program ownership, that includes legal, small business advocates, finance, making sure all of those folks understand the big picture, what the mission is for that particular requirement, and that is going to create more buy-in that allows folks to deliver quicker. Lastly, I would just add, with respect to the techniques and the tools that are available, you all have seen the revolutionary FAR overhaul, kind of how that's ultimately going to speed us up. There's also non-traditional acquisition authorities that are out there, whether it's small business innovation research, which needs to be reauthorized, or commercial solutions openings, other transaction authority. How do we use the toolbox to deliver faster?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Corey, for that. All right, another struggle that a lot of agencies are facing right now is because of the speed of change that we mentioned earlier, how do they design solicitations to avoid that by the time the contract is actually awarded, they're not like 2 or 3 versions behind. So, Corey, maybe you can give us your insights there around techniques they can leverage.
Absolutely. So, Trevor mentioned phased acquisitions, and so from a big picture perspective is how do we pilot technologies competitively at a small scale, see how those proof of concepts worked out, and then how do we quickly scale that across government faster, sort of short-circuiting the procurement cycle, not creating a situation where we're having lengthy, repetitive acquisitions. We have authorities to quickly access those technologies that have been proven to deliver effectively. So phased acquisitions is one of those where we can start with a large-scale vendor group, do some testing, do some competing of requirements and problem statements, and then over time shrink that pool down to where we're able to quickly scale those ones that are most promising and most effective for the government. So there's going to be a lot of testing that we'll be able to do in government through the RFO updates. And then we also have to keep our eye on the ball to make sure that we don't solve one problem and create another one. So modular contracting, where we're able to chunk up requirements into smaller pieces to be able to move faster at a micro level, can create a problem over time, because that exponentially increases the volume of contract actions that our workforce is going to have to manage and that our contractor is going to have to deliver. So we have to make sure that we have balance in that conversation. And then lastly, I would say the role of an integrator. So there's various different ways that we can deliver solutions for the government. We want to be able to access the innovation providers, the solution providers, those that own the products, but we also have to, from a toolbox perspective, make sure that we're not losing sight of what the role of an integrator is, and that ability to bring a partnership of teams together to deliver capabilities quickly and to do it in a different way. So it's all back to the toolbox mentality and picking the right solution for the right time.
Yeah, love that. So I'm going to pivot a little bit, and then Trevor, I'm going to ask you a different question. We got both agency representatives here, we got industry in the room. A big piece of the success of driving forward these procurement actions in a more timely manner is that partnership. So how do you see that working?
That's a good question. How many feds we got in the house? More than I was led to believe. That's nice. So, I mean, kind of that engagement with the teams. We talked about getting them early together often.
Yep.
But that answer for me really ties back to the root of that question is it's not just designing better solicitations, but it's designing a better overall approach. And a lot of times our teams will like rush to get something on the street, and then they run into challenges post-solicitation release, into evaluation. I mean, I've seen like 45 amendments before on something, and that's just crazy. That means they didn't plan very well. So the approach that we're trying to take is to understand that solicitation evaluation award part should be truncated. You should be ready to sprint that part of the process, and everything before then should be good planning with the team, right? Market research exists until that final solicitation is released. So even a draft solicitation, when you can handle the bulk of the questions, when you can engage with industry, that's all part of market research. So when we take time with our program owners and we help develop actual evaluation criteria that's targeted, and it's not, you see our PWS, give us your approach, you know, or give us your past performance or your technical approach or your staffing plan, things that don't often add a lot of value. Because when we make the evaluation aspect targeted and the team looks at it and they can actually assess real capabilities out of it, it makes that whole back end part of the process move a lot faster. So if we do that, and then we can go from solicitation to award in less than 60 days, as the regulations have always allowed for, because to me the FAR was never really the problem, it was the culture of the people and how they tried to enact those regulations. Because with those regulations came a mountain of cultural baggage that each person would bring into a different solution. So now we get to hit this reset button with the RFO. And that means we can actually empower and encourage these teams to say, we got a new starting point. Let's try to rid ourselves of that cultural baggage and understand that we are now empowered and encouraged to focus on solutions and get to X faster. So hopefully those technology solutions aren't outdated.
That's right.
Because we're going like a month to 2 months now.
Love that. Thank you, sir. All right, so we're bumping up against time here. So Corey, I want to start with you. What's the one thing you want this audience to take back with them today?
Yeah, so from a federal government perspective, it's just, the last year has been tough from an acquisition perspective. I heard folks talk about the personnel losses, the huge overhaul of the FAR. What I've seen as a leader in GSA is just the resiliency of the workforce overall. And so just want to kind of reassure our industry partners that our staff that are committed, they're focused on how to learn. We heard a lot about reskilling, learn these new ways that we can buy and make sure that we have a system that works for all types of businesses. We're able to kind of meet you where you are and deliver the right requirement for that particular agency mission.
All right, Trevor, same question.
Innovation is my tranquility, to counter the point from earlier. I think the one thing that I'd recommend is, on the government side, really get in touch with your counterparts on the acquisition team way earlier in the process. And for the bulk of you on the industry side, we value industry as part of the change agent process. I've worked with a lot of some of the big contractors in the area. I continually meet with them because I'm also our industry liaison, so I got a blank check to talk to industry. We just held this awesome event a few weeks ago called Collaborations. Was anybody there from here? All right, we got a couple of people. And that was a really awesome event where we brought 25 competent government people with a bunch of industry, and we talked about solutions to make the process of conducting government acquisitions just better. So don't be shy to throw suggestions over to your government counterparts for specific procurements, and keep engaged with them and offer your good ideas as well.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Thanks again for being on the panel with us today.
Great. All right.